my. That was fun, wasn't it? Can I get a amen from the congregation?
Amen.
Brother Brad?
It was really fun.
Can you give me an amen from the congregation?
I liked it.
Take that as an amen. Welcome in, everybody. It's time for Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 403, titled Mountaineers Gobblers. That was a horrible turkey.
That wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad.
Totally, it was impromptu. I didn't even know I was going to do it. All right, welcome in. Here we go, folks. Three Guys Before the Game. We're going to talk about West Virginia's performance against Virginia Tech. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They happen to be your full-service Konica Minolta dealer in the state of West Virginia. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. That's KOMAXWV.com. And if you're a business owner or you work in a business and you need to get your stuff right, they'll do that for you. From the hardware, the actual office supplies, through their affiliation with Konica Minolta, and their ability to provide to you 24/7 service on your IT. Right? You don't need to have that person. And I probably shouldn't say this. I'm going to go ahead anyway. IT people are different. If you're one that doesn't want, to have to deal with a person or an extra salary, you can bring in Comax Business Systems, and they will manage your voice, your phone, your IT, 24/7 remote monitoring, gives you the peace of mind that you need. They always have your networks back. 10th time they've been named an elite dealer by ENX magazine. So what I was going to try to say is, sometimes IT people, they give you that look because they know they have you.
Oh, yeah.
They know that they got something that you don't have, and as a result, I think they treat you
They got the
that
power.
way. Brad, you know what I'm saying? They got the power.
You ever see on Saturday Night Live the skit, and they got the IT guy, and somebody says, I need some help, and the IT guy comes over and says, move.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah,
If
move.
you don't want that move guy in your building, go to Comax Business Systems. Three Guys also brought to us by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com, burdettcamping.com, two T's next to each other, located in Winfield. And I did a little informal, unscientific, anecdotal survey while I was in Blacksburg, and all of the RVs that were there for the game all came from Burdett Camping.
Did they?
Of course
Yeah.
it did. Yeah, sure.
I mean, unconfirmed, but that's what I was looking at. I think they all came from their location at Burdett Camping. And fine Phil and all the guys there ready to take care of you. All right, boys. West Virginia is complete with the month of September schedule. They are 2 up and they are 2 down following last night's 33-10 victory over Virginia Tech. When the season began, 2-2 is what some thought the Mountaineers would be. When you looked at Pitt and you looked at Virginia Tech as road games, you thought you were hoping 3-1. You thought maybe 2-2. No one was thinking 1-3. Thank goodness it didn't happen. But now you're even with one league game done. Your non-conference is done. And next Saturday, West Virginia opens up the road portion of its Big 12 schedule as they meet up against the Texas Longhorns. We'll get into all of that as next week rolls on. But for this episode, we are going to jump in on the 54th meeting between WVU and Virginia Tech, a game which produced some significant performances, some specific statistical info coming out of that, i.e., they've been playing this game in parts since 1912, and no Mountaineer team had ever won by as large of a margin in Blacksburg as West Virginia did last night, won by 23 points, and nearly scored more points than any Mountaineer team in the history of the series. That number was 34. And when you go back and you look at it, they left a lot of points on the field. It was there for the taking. We continue to see the emergence of specific players. We'll talk about that. And, of course, your texts, your comments, which continue to grow in texture and density. Now they're becoming like interactive texts. We're starting to receive more and more pictures with the text. And we'll show some of those for those of you watching on our program. So let's jump in. I've not talked to these guys at all.
We talked this morning on my public affairs program.
No, you asked me questions. I haven't said to you, flip it around, Hoppy, what did you think? You asked me, what did I think? By the way, thanks for having me on. I mean, to lead off your show at 10:06 as the first guest, knowing that it absolutely infuriates people that hate sports, makes me giddy. I just love. I mean,
it was the biggest story. I go with the biggest story.
I understand that, but a lot of your people don't understand that because a lot of your people look at sports down their nose and they say, how could Kercheval lower himself to talk about sport rather than the deficit or the task force committee looking into the proposal to include the EPA funding of the study based upon the lawmakers' conference committee. Well, how dare he bring that?
I've done that too.
That sordid sport in. I like that.
Well,
I like that.
I think it was the biggest story.
I don't think there's any question.
I think that's what most people are talking about today.
That's been the key to your success through the years of being able to, like a dog that points. You kind of like, you know what I'm saying, Brad? You've had dogs in the past, haven't you? They just kind of like, they pick up their paw.
He's doing something. He's busy. He's not even paying attention.
Shit, I don't know what he's doing over there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what'd you think?
Well, the Tech has a great entrance and, start with the crowd with Sandman, but, Sandman, Enter Sandman by Metallica is a song about nightmares.
Ooh.
Exit light, enter night, sleep with one eye open. I mean, it's all about nightmares.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so that's what Tech had. I mean, Tech had a nightmare. That was the worst, and we're going to talk about West Virginia, but that was the worst case scenario for Virginia Tech to have that kind of buildup and then to be dominated. Not just lose, but to be dominated by a rival. And that's exactly what happened.
Senator!
You walk out of there. I think the word domination is the right word right there. I'll give you some numbers here in a minute, but it was comparable to what you did for Towson State.
Excuse me?
It's comparable to what you did to Towson State.
Nice Towson State reference.
What do you mean by that?
As opposed to Towson.
You just absolutely dominated this team.
He did give him a Towson State.
He gave him Towson State.
It's old school. You didn't even catch it.
Give us a VPI here in a minute.
That's the best pass blocking grade under Neil Brown. That's the best run defense grade of any game under Neil Brown. They couldn't do anything offensively against you, and offensively, you dominated them. More than 200 yards of total offense, more than a yard per play average. You had the first down advantage, 32-14.
32 first downs is a ton.
I mean,
just tried for 25.
Here's a couple numbers that really jumped to me, though. You ready for this?
Sure.
61% of West Virginia's plays were run on Tech's side of the field.
Wow.
You're dominating.
Yeah.
61%. Here's where it was comparable to Towson State. Against the Tigers, West Virginia had 9 drives inside the scoring zone or scoring opportunities, which is the opponent's 40 or in. Now, West Virginia averaged 6.56 points per trip. That's why they loaded up with all those points. Against Virginia Tech, you had 8 of those. Almost identical in terms of number of trips into the scoring zone. The difference, West Virginia averages 3.2 points per trip inside. Part of that included the kneel down at the end, and you just had to kick a lot of field goals instead of the touchdowns. You completely dominated this Hokie team. This was a good win against an inferior team that you absolutely choked out.
Tony, Neil Brown said, it was great numbers, Brad. Neil Brown said on my public affairs program
Excuse me? He was on your show?
He was.
Well, you probably had him on like between 10 and before 11:30.
No, I had him on. I interrupted steam release to have on the head ball coach.
Has that ever happened before?
Rarely. And it caused some consternation among steam release fans, but I thought this is a huge win. It's the only time I could get him. He's traveling. He's recruiting.
Sure.
So anyway, and he said that they thought the game would be won in the trenches, and they thought they had an advantage, and that proved to be true. I mean, that's where that game was won. Okay, we're going to talk about individual performances, but in terms of offensive line domination, protecting the quarterback, opening holes, defensive line domination, Brad, as we saw last night, absolutely shutting down the run, no run by Tech with 5 guys in the box. Didn't have to load the box.
No, and you handled the run, and that's been Tech's issue all year. We talked going into this game that they weren't ready for this level of competition based on who they had played. You thought that would come to fruition. It did. 39% of Tech's runs last night were stopped for no gain or a loss.
39%.
Almost 40%. Now, that's not a surprise. They lead the country in that category of runs of 1 yard or less. West Virginia did what it had to do. Couldn't move anybody up front. That run offense, their offensive line, it's just not very good yet. West Virginia absolutely dominated them up front.
Yeah, the numbers are a wow. You know, I almost got misty-eyed there a couple times during the game, Hop.
Really?
Yeah, because I saw running lanes. I mean,
Wide
it was
running
like a guy that had been walking in the desert, like looking for water, you know, just for years and years. He just, every day he'd get up and he'd just start walking again. And all he wanted was a little water. And I mean, I have not seen running lanes like that in seasons. I mean, they were lanes.
Yep.
They were gashing lanes. And I'm thinking like, I found the water. I'm so encouraged by that, because to have any chance going forward, as Neil said when the season started, you've got to be able to run the ball against good teams. Now, I know Wofford, Old Dominion, BC struggle offensively, but still Tech was only giving up 1.5 yards per carry, 1.5 yards per carry. Mountaineers averaged 4.7 yards per carry. 3 different Mountaineer running backs had runs of 18 yards or longer. And so to me, that's one of the great encouragements, that this O-line, which has 3 Mountaineer natives on it, is getting better, better. Now, that's going to change the whole way that other teams now will look at West Virginia, because they have to honor the run. And so that's going to make a whole different change. What do you do now with your receivers, with Bryce Ford-Wheaton, Sam James, and Caden Prather, who are starting, right, to emerge? Now you can't cheat and load things up or cheat back. So now you got that cat and mouse game going on, which is what you need.
Go ahead.
And I thought that they did a really good job coaching up a strategy, because they knew that Bryce Ford-Wheaton would get a lot of attention, of finding other guys, Brad. I mean, for example, Prather, again, continues to emerge. And they did a couple of formations where they had O'Loughlin and Bryce Ford-Wheaton on the same side. And then what do the defenders do? They're following Bryce Ford-Wheaton, O'Loughlin open. I mean, he unfortunately dropped a touchdown pass, but he was open on that. But again, a good job of just finding other people, of either planning that way or for JT Daniels finding them, knowing that Bryce Ford-Wheaton would get the most attention.
Yeah, that play to O'Loughlin, that was a nice play design. That worked perfectly, getting him open in the end zone. You had Ford-Wheaton that cleared, took everybody with him, dropped O'Loughlin right in behind. That
beautiful.
That was perfect. You make a good point there, Tony, because now you're at the point, if you're trying to defend or plan for this West Virginia offense, you've got a lot of problems there. You've got a team that can run it, and you're right, you're getting great run blocking. But this pass blocking, guys, I mean, it has been absolutely outstanding. Here's another number for you. Milam, Frazier, and Nestor are 1, 2, and 3 in the league in pass blocking efficiency so far. Individually, the numbers 1, 2, and 3 with guys that have more than 130 snaps, basically playing regular time. Now, they've played more than, there's going to be some other linemen that play Saturday, but that speaks to what this line has been able to do as it's grown up, right? You had to play all those young guys. People have been saying for a couple years, just hold on. You're playing guys that shouldn't have to be in the lineup right now, and they are. Hopefully you get a benefit of that down the road. I think you're starting to see that now here in the last couple of games in particular.
You use the term choke out, and when you start to look at some of these numbers, time of possession, plus 17 minutes. West Virginia had it for 38-44. Tech had it for 21-16. Second half, listen to these numbers. Time of possession. West Virginia had the ball in the first quarter for 9 minutes, had the ball in the second quarter for 8 minutes and 45 seconds, call it 9 minutes, had it in the third quarter for 10 minutes and 50 seconds, 11 minutes, had it in the fourth quarter for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You talk about keep away. And here's something else, and I did bring this up on your little gab fest that you do. I might be going over the top in saying this, But JT Daniels, from a mental perspective, when it comes to sports performance, is at elite level.
Yes.
He takes the ball at the end of that half and matriculates it down the field, and you get a touchdown pass with 11 seconds to go, which was an absolute momentum grand slam.
Changed the game.
Won the game.
Okay,
not changed it. That Tech's decision to go for it offensively with that offense that couldn't do anything and bleeding only 40 seconds off the clock, one of the all-time bad decisions you'll see this season, and then West Virginia just stuck it right in their eye.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? You're going to give us the ball back? Watch what we do now. That was ball game. And that was ball game right there. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. But that was the game.
So my point to Hoppy earlier was this. Think about what JT Daniels has done now against Pitt after the Pitt 6, drives the field, and you're inches away from a Reese Smith touchdown. It was right there. He does that against Kansas. Down 11, drives for a field goal, comes back, gets a touchdown, puts that game in overtime. Right? Drives it. Last night, first half, you had limited time, 50-second drive. So my point to all that is this. Why is he able to do that? We've had good quarterbacks here. We've had guys that can throw it because he said this earlier this week, and he's talking, I want to talk more about it, but he is a student of mental sports performance. And as he said, Brad, last week, when everyone else gets tight, he said, I get less worse. So to him, it's just like he trains for that moment so that when the moment happens, he does not get wagged out like so many guys get tight, screw up plays. So to me, look at this, find what he's doing, and teach this to everyone in their respective position. Make it mandatory. Instead of trying to out-athlete people, trying to out-grunt people, use your head so that everyone plays in these game-defining situations and moments and makes those types of plays.
Well, okay, but you're also talking about the mind of an elite athlete. Not everybody has that, okay? I understand everybody can study, but some are more some have sports performance acumen stronger than others, and I think JT Daniels has that elite level. But on that,
you know why? Because he wants to.
Well,
he wants to. He embraced the culture and the understanding of it, and he understands it, so he brought it into his arsenal.
Go to that play last night and I think he talked about it in the post game, and Neil Brown talked about it too. Is that in that drive there near the end of the half, where they're driving down the field, and normally, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, and Brad, I think that normally Tech, from what I read or heard, was in single safety, and then they went to Tampa two safeties, which put the linebacker on Sam James in the slot, which then Daniels had prepared, the coaching staff had prepared and understood that in that defensive lineup, that if James was on the linebacker, that James could beat the linebacker, throw a fastball in there, get a touchdown. That's preparation. That's preparation and execution.
Dax Hollifield, who's one of the great defenders, had no idea that ball was thrown. Came right over his ear hole. He had no idea. Also credit Bryce Ford Wheaton, though. If Bryce Ford Wheaton doesn't basically turn into a defensive back and knock that interception away, that's a pick because it was in that guy's hands. But here, you hear so often people talk about football maybe more than any other sport being complementary. Let's take the pieces here for a second. Daniel's ability to recognize and know the game and the X's and O's is elite. Not like kind of good, elite. Then he's got the physical skills to make it happen. But you've also now got, I just referenced those pass blocking, those guys up front. He's getting time.
Yep.
You have receivers making plays. Imagine how that works. And then what does that allow the offensive coordinator to do? You have multiple plays at your disposal because a lot of things work because you can throw it and you got guys that can catch it. One little play that was a big play, but it was just one moment in a game where you really dominated. That Caden Prather route on fourth down on that little slant, that's a great route. He makes that guy think he's going outside just enough to get that cornerback leaning, plants his foot in the ground, turns in, perfect throw, first down. That was so easy, right? There were times over the last 3 years where you just went, why is nothing easy? Why is nothing easy offensively? And it was all those pieces, right? Now add in, oh, by the way, Then you add a guy like C.J. Donaldson in there, who's absolutely just exploded on the scene. Let me give you some more numbers first, and I'll be done with numbers for the episode.
And we like
but you ready for this?
We're good. Hop, you got any problem with his numbers?
None.
This
we have no
jumped out
problem
to
with
me.
numbers.
Donaldson, as we sit here today, leads Big 12 running backs with 10 or more carries with 10 or more carries for yards after contact. Leads them. Let me start over here.
Go ahead, do a read. Wait, 3, 2, 1, go.
Big 12 running backs that have 10 or more carries, at least, CJ leads them in yards after contact. Leads Big 12 running backs in rushes of 10 yards or more. Leads Big 12 running backs in first downs gained. That's your true freshman tight end that's leading running backs in all those categories. You might have heard of a gentleman by the name of Bijan Robinson, who may be in New York for a Heisman ceremony come the end of the year. So look at all of those pieces that have now emerged after 3 years of grinding the thing offensively. Now you've got all those pieces, and they're working.
And when Donaldson, who has probably got some load management issues, and Mathis has a fumble, then Johnson comes in and gets a buck.
He was very good too.
Exactly right. Exactly
You
right.
got pieces.
And I think there were a couple of runs that C.J. Donaldson had last night that when he sits down with Chad Scott and they watch the tape, he made some decisions to go outside where he could have put his foot down and cut it inside. So he's still obviously never played the position. He'll get better than he is because he's going to learn more and more. He's going to find his comfort zone. And so you're talking about someone that's still very much in a learning state. And as you said, what blows you out is what he's been able to do. It's funny, I was getting on the plane last night, and he was sitting over to the right. One of his, and they're all, everyone's, getting their food and the whole thing. And it's just it's a mess. And the guy says, like, CJ, you hurt? He goes, CJ, you're talking about his hand.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, my body hurts all over. I mean, he
taking a lot of hits.
Oh, he takes shots.
Yes.
He takes shots. Took the targeting. And, when you're a big guy like that and you don't go down and you get stood up, that's even worse because now you're standing and they can just come.
That was scary on a couple of those hits.
Yeah.
Daniels took one to the face, too. I mean, that was getting a little rough there. Luckily, they got out of there with no serious injuries.
And on that, I mean, Tech has not to diminish the win because there were many good things about West Virginia in that game, but Tech's got some issues. I mean, offensively, they are not. Usually, when you play Virginia Tech, you think, okay, they're gonna have some guys. They got some guys, and they just don't. I mean, they got a couple tight ends, right? But in terms of other guys to make plays, they remind me of where West Virginia has been for a couple of years, Brad, where you go, okay, who's gonna make a play? And you look around, and you go, I don't know who's gonna make a play, and then just making tons of penalties, tons of mistakes. Of course, the officials did a wonderful job last night.
15 penalties for 132. 15 for 132. The world champion Mountaineers were called on 6 for 69.
But there were still some weird calls and non-calls in that game.
Oh, yeah.
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 I won't address, but yes. Let's talk defense for a second.
Well, sure. Let's do it.
Because that was the question, right? Where does this defense stand? I'm still not sure because the Tech offense has so many challenges, but West Virginia did what it needed to do, just like against Towson. It took an offense that's struggling, an inferior opponent, and just tightened them, right? Just squeezed them, and they couldn't do anything. Credit the defense for doing what it had to do last night. And how about Jacoby Spells? Oh. Not only gets a pick, which you were due to get an interception, this defense needs to start creating some turnovers. Not only did that, man, he got the ball. There was no thought of sitting down on that thing. He was hunting the end zone. My man was hunting the end zone as soon as he got it.
Well, he broke on it and caught it in full stride and just kept going.
And that's the thing. That wasn't a fluky tip pass that he happened to be there. He saw the route, jumped the route, picked it, and then took it to the house.
Yeah.
Very impressive by Spells.
So he runs a 10-700. He was coached by Patrick Surtain, the great NFL corner, and American Heritage, which is a high-level high school. And so I've often said here on this program that when players are going to be really, really good in their careers, they're really, really good when they start playing.
Yeah.
Right? And so here's one of those guys, as I put my headsets back on, here's one of those guys that is going to be really, really good, and he shows you right there, September's not over, and here's this dude making a play. Guess what? That's the first of a bunch of plays he's going to make.
I agree with you. And so from a program perspective, as we've talked so much over the last 4 weeks, and you start to look okay, where's this group going? You saw the receivers really emerge this year, Hop, including a young guy in Caden Prather who's blossomed. You've seen an offensive line that had to play really young guys have really blossomed and are still coming. You're seeing a defensive crew that's been just hammered by the transfer portal, went out and found another dude and plugged him in, and he's been very good. I mean, there's some, never mind the class that you've signed that's coming in with some playmakers, so I think you start to feel good. The other part defensively, Jordan Jefferson was a dude last night too.
How about him?
Jordan,
second on
good
the
luck
team
running at him.
Second on the team in tackles as a nose guard.
Never happens.
He had 4 stops. He had a TFL. And you're exactly right. When Akeem Mesidor left in the spring, we all said, like, oh, well, guess what, man? Again, Jordan Jefferson, 50 pats on the back. You have stepped in there. And Neil said before the season began he thinks he's a pro. And he's playing like that.
I don't remember which lineman it was last night. He took one of them and pulled a Zach Frazier. We've talked about Zach doing that before where he's planted a dude. Jefferson took him, didn't plant, just threw him out of the way.
How about
took
that?
a 300-pound dude. Just took him, you're going to go over here because I'm going here.
They say he's the strongest dude on the team.
Oh, he was really good.
Yeah, say he's the strongest dude. So Lee Koba led the team in tackles with a half a dozen. Jordan Jefferson with the 4. Exree Lowe, Jazir Cox, Taj Alston, Marcus Floyd all had 3. It was about as right. When was the last time? You'd have to go back a long way to find out the last time that West Virginia against a Power 5 opponent was as dominant as they were. How about kickoffs, boys? Florida State transfer Parker Grotehouse. He kicked it off 8 times, 6 touchbacks.
That was good. Probably had a little wind aided.
Oh, there was a couple jet stream carries
On a couple of
in
those.
that game, both sides. Yeah.
Speaking of kick on special teams, Tony, Casey Legg, solid as a rock, makes 4, no doubt, right down the middle. No, like right down the middle.
He outscored Tech, didn't he?
He did. Yes.
Didn't
he
he win?
had 4.
Didn't he win 12-10?
He did.
He won 12-10.
So Casey Legg 12,
12-10.
Tech 10. Got punt reception.
Yeah, got to fix it.
Got to fix that.
Yeah, got to fix it. That's been so the last 2 weeks. There's so to me against Towson, it was simply the kickoff return. That's the only thing you pulled out of that game and went, okay, you got to fix. Last night, the penalties have been still in too big of spots.
Right.
You got to work on that. The punt return, you cannot have 2 out of 3 games where you give a punt return back. Now, luckily, you got a favorable bounce on that. But you have got to catch the punts. That's got to get fixed fast.
Casey Legg, speaking of Casey, so as you said, 4 of 4 last night. He's now 8 of 8 for the year. He made it from 23, 35, 25, and 38. So he's kind of like one of them old golfers, just played a ton. He just kind of walks out
right down the fairway.
He kind of like, where do you want it? Like, here. All right, very good.
And as he told us when he was in here, friend of this show.
Oh, great!
As he was in here, he said he's not the guy that's going to go out and kick a 55-yarder. Yeah. He was working on getting his distance. So it really is old man golf. He's not going to win a long drive contest. You're not going to ooh and off the tee. Though. But, buddy, I'm just right down the tee, and I'm not going to hit it in the woods. And we're just going to hit it, and there's my ball, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to hit it again, and look at that. I'm on the green putting for birdie.
And you see, he's got that. I know his kick stroke is different than some other people. But it's it doesn't look like it's hard.
No, it's effortless.
It's just like it's effortlessly. Yeah. And okay, so maybe you don't get it from 48, and maybe that'll come back to haunt you in a close game. But you'll take all this.
Yeah.
If you don't get the 48, but you get the 4 inside the 40, take all those all day, right?
I agree.
And shout out to that battery, which is Austin Brinkman, the long snapper, Grayson Malashevich, who's the holder, and Casey. So those guys have done a really nice rotation.
That's a good job saying that because normally we don't talk about them unless they yak something.
Yeah, but smooth.
So those guys have been very good.
Those guys have been really, really
very
good. So congratulations. That's a big part. West Virginia did punt twice. The freshman, Oliver Straw, 2 punts, averaged 39 with a long of 42. And when it came to receptions, we mentioned Caden Prather, 6 for 69. Mike O'Laughlin, 3 for 33. Reese Smith, 1 for 27. That was a nice grab. Sam James, 2 for 25 with the touchdown. Bryce Ford Wheaton, 3 for 23 with a long of 13. Jeremiah Aaron, 1. Cortez Braham, 1. And C.J. Donaldson, 3 for 6 yards. And the numbers on J.T. Daniels, 20 of 30, 203 with a touchdown, no pick. And he had a really good QB rating with a long completion of 27. He was sacked just
once, I think.
one time.
Aaron had a nice block on the outside there once too. You're starting to see a little bit out of him, right?
Yep.
And that's important, I think, for that receiver group to continue to do what it's done, because Ford Wheaton's going to see some more defenses like he did last night, right? You're going to get some better athletes going against him that are going to say, no, he's not beating us.
Right.
Someone else is going to have to. But you feel a lot different now than you did about that. Had you told me that mid-August, you got some concerns. Right now, okay, fine. Throw
But
it three other
Prather,
people.
you were worried about Prather after that first game, but he has quickly turned that around, and he's just such a physical presence. He's a physical receiver.
He's really showing it.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. You really haven't got CJ lathered up in the pass game either.
Right.
Tech was all over that last night. I will credit them for that. They absolutely were alert to CJ Donaldson out of the backfield. They blew up a couple of those plays.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So you've got that as a weapon, too,
Yeah.
that really hasn't come forth yet.
And those Tech defensive backs are pretty good. Those guys are pretty good.
Yeah, I thought, like I told Brad, I know they're not where they were, but when they hit, very physical game. They cracked. They were hitting. That was old school. That was old school hitting. Okay, you guys ready to do some textual healing? Hoppy, do you need this?
What's that?
So sometimes we've done textual healing, and it really was the need of healing. There was a need to heal souls, to heal wounds. We've gone through that in this first month against Pitt, against Kansas. This is more like when you go in for an adjustment of some sort, and it's just kind of like, just take a deep breath, cleansing. I think that's what this is. So this is more textual cleansing, but same song, which is called textual cleansing. That sounds nice.
I don't think it's a healing. I think this is more like, this song's got a great groove. So it's more like, it's Friday night and you're feeling good. You're going out.
I'm a little surprised. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that someone hasn't made a dance video. Take the song, make a music video of dancers, like just doing this textual healing. I'm trying to throw some seeds out to our listeners. If you want to become famous, if you're a video production person, like, let's do this thing, man. Like, can you see someone out there just doing the textual thing and then put a step to it, a little sway? What's up? I got a feeling our guy, David, he's going to have something coming up.
We've really dropped the ball on that.
You know, David Saab, the guy that produced this song for us, you know what? He's kind of like, he made a huge hit, right? And then he just kind of went away. Kind of like some of those bands.
One hit wonder?
No. They go away, they make a hit, and then like you don't hear from them for a long time, and they go like, yeah, what happened? Like, isn't he going to put any new music back out? Any new material? And then they come back out after like a long period, and they hit you with another one. You go like, oh my gosh, did you hear David Saab's next hit? I think that's where he is in his creative flow. I think he's got another one coming.
Or he comes out with another one, and then when you play it, people say, play the old stuff.
Yeah. He might be going through, he might be going through a little bit of that. This might be his garden party, right? I mean, this could be,
he had
played my old stuff. Listen, I feel good about David, but he could be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. Better than having no hits at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true too. That's true too. All right, first things first. In my hand, I hold a little something special. This is it, folks. We talked about it a lot. That is a San Marzano tomato. Someone brought this to me at the Neil Brown show. They grew it, and they said, my husband wanted you to have this. I think it was her husband.
What's it smell like?
It smells like a tomato, but that's a San Marzano. So what's going on here, folks, is if you were to open this up, which I will do later, it's not a bunch of water and seeds. It's a meaty tomato. This is what you make sauce with because it's got great meat inside of it. And it's got a different shape to it, as you can see.
It's like an apple.
It does have it. It's got the pointed tip, but that's a San Marzano, and they are becoming more and more famous on this program. And I thank you very much for that. So you can grow those, Brad, even though you bring in illegal seeds. Shall we? Texter says the talk of Coach Brown being replaced is fans that know very little about the game. Fine man, good coach under the circumstances of which he has coached, including NIL, portal, and COVID. He has done as well as any coach could have done and maybe better at West Virginia. Mountaineers have to build a team by good coaching every 4 years, turn that over, and today makes that almost impossible. You guys do a great job. I seldom miss. Thanks for listening. Mark Clarksburg. Texter writes, big shout out to your producer, Tyler Kennedy, on his promotion to full-time status at WVRC. The three guys are nice, but I keep coming back for Taylor.
That a burner account? I notice it's not signed.
No sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very well could be Taylor. I need to run a phone check on that
Signed.
one. Yeah. How's he doing, Hop?
Mr. and Mrs. Consolidated.
How's he doing now that you've got him full-time status here at the company?
Outstanding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sometimes he needs a little,
Yeah.
a little
I get it.
encouragement. But
Texter. Aloha, fellas. I just got back in town from Hawaii, celebrating with my beautiful bride, putting up with me for 20 years.
nice.
As we were checking in at the Waikiki Marriott Resort in beautiful Honolulu, I noticed an ugly color combination on the clothing of a man standing just down from me checking in as well. I said, hello. Pretty big game coming up. For those of you watching, take a look at your monitor. He nodded and turned the other way.
Got a picture.
By the way, if you are ever, and I believe it's Waimea, Hawaii, on the Big Island, and need a doctor, there's only one. He's a WVU grad and worked at WVU hospitals for a long time. Ask for Dr. Mike. So you see there, that's a Mountaineer to the right. He's got the flying W. He's got the West Virginia thing, and to his left was a Virginia Tech fan.
That's
What's really
perfect.
wild is I stayed in that hotel
Did you?
with Marshall's basketball team in 1987. Remember, I told you
Did
that.
you walk out of one, or is that the one you went
That's
to
the
after
one
you
we
walked
went
out?
to after Huck walked out of the one he didn't like, and we walked over to that one, and we checked in at the Sheraton Waikiki. Yeah.
Nice visual aid for this.
Thank you very
text.
much. We do appreciate that. Texter
So the tech guy didn't deal with him?
didn't deal with him. Didn't deal with him.
Tech guy must have known what was coming.
You must
Yeah.
have.
Didn't want to acknowledge it was a big game. Going to run out of the gym.
Texter, hey, three guys. Joel in Atlanta.
Did people run out of that stadium last night?
There were some early departures.
Now, West Virginia's been known to do that too. A country short of attention spans, but they exited the building pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
there's some departures there.
Yeah.
Hey, three guys. Joel in Atlanta.
Hello.
I've been to 24 Mountaineer away games in my travels. Boulder, Baton Rouge, Austin, University Park, Auburn, Starkville, many more. Without a doubt, the loudest crowd is in Blacksburg, hands down. They got it going there. A stadium culture West Virginia fans should aspire to. Go Mountaineers.
It's a throwdown right there.
Texter says, I've got to get this bread recipe. Have you ever added ramps or garlic cloves? No, I haven't. As far as additional stuff, I do a rye, I do a raisin walnut, and I do a chocolate coconut. Those are my three differing loaves, but I have not done that. That would be really tasty. Texter, 2 quick points. Don't forget to get Carol Lee donuts. I'm a displaced Mountaineer living and working in Hokie country. Please relay the message to the guys. If we don't win, my life will be difficult indefinitely until we play again. Well, guess what? You got good life going because that thing's not going to be played for a long time.
Allegedly.
Brad, you keep saying that. Reason?
Well, there
Have
could
we not learned anything over the last 3 years? Don't make definitive statements.
Well, we have learned that you can schedule on Monday like you can on Saturdays.
I mean, that it may not be played for another 20 years. That also may not be true. Maybe playing it here in 5. Who knows?
Maybe
I'm not
next year.
saying that as any inside information. I'm just simply saying
Yeah.
enough with the definitive. We've scheduled our football team out till 2035, and we have no openings, and that never changes, and we never buy out contracts, and we never. And I'm talking about both schools when I say we. Right? That happens all the time.
I talked to Whit Babcock yesterday, and he said potentially, cancellation or change. He said things could happen.
See? Yeah. I did not talk to Whit yesterday, but see.
Texter upset over the last game with the broadcast. Middle school announcers called us Virginia. later called us Western Virginia. Plus, 2 years ago, it cost $5.99, now $6.99, now $9.99. More money, more second-rate broadcast. I love the show, Go Mountaineers.
What was that on the ESPN Plus?
He's talking about Towson. He's going back to the Towson game. Texter Jeff Scott Depot. I was listening to Sportsline. They were talking about who was the biggest rival of West Virginia. I've lived in the Kanawha Valley for all of my 52 years. I've been to games at both stadiums, but I hate Pitt. With that being, Enter Sandman is the best entrance song. I can't wait until Thursday. Gets visiting team pumped up. Go Mountaineers. Just wondering. Texter writes, this is Yogi Chris in Salt Lake City. This is the guy that came in,
did
walked
112 law school steps.
I'm wondering who creates the Burdett Camping Center game promotion. Is it Tony or someone on the Burdett Camping staff? Curious listeners want to know. Anxious to attend the Baylor game in a few weeks. That is from Phil at Burdett Camping. He does a wonderful job creating creative promos. And,
what was it this week?
Hop had a little situation there.
I don't remember.
It was total receiving yards by Bryce Ford Wheaton times touchdowns. When you do multiplication times 0, it never turns out really well.
He was a heavy number to catch a touchdown pass. Closing in on a $2 favorite to catch a touchdown pass, in fact.
Really?
Yeah. Like a Cooper Cup type number.
He threw a couple to him there.
I would remind you about this. Sometimes you hit,
How about
sometimes
pass breakups? Give him props for that.
Yeah, he gets PBU. He should get a PBU.
He should, because that was huge.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Because that was a pick.
No, it was.
Guy had it in his hands.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out, Chris. 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever dealer in all of West Virginia. You visit them at burdettcamping.com, and they will be back next week with another in-game promo for the Texas game. Burdett Camping, located in Winfield, burdettcamping.com. Texter, hey guys, personally, I believe the defense will improve and be pretty good. First Neil Brown year, they had young players, including walk-ons. Players on the staff did wonders. The guys they have now are more talented. I believe it will be turned around in a game or so. Pastor Holly in Elkview. Texter.
What page are you on? I lost my place.
Front and back today, Hop.
We're going front and back.
Oh.
I told you before we started.
You did.
I hate that when it does that. Texter, piggybacking on the Hoppy Kercheval beer idea, you need to make it a triple IPA and call it Hoppy, Hoppy, Hoppy.
That's even better.
Yeah, we had a short week. We didn't advance that at all, did we?
That's even better.
That's even better. Adam in Baltimore, dude.
That's good.
Someone also emailed me.
That's a good way to. They moved the ball down the field there.
They did.
First idea was a great job. Had a big play on first down. Adam came right back with a big explosive play right there.
And I apologize, but someone sent me. They did the artwork, made a beer label with your pictures inside the label, and it says Hoppy. It says Hoppy Kercheval IPA. I got to get that. Try to remember to do that.
Got to get that moving.
Robin in Cumberland. Great train town, Cumberland. After several seasons of stagnant offense, it is so refreshing to be able to consistently move the chains and sustain drives. Texter. Hello. Lloyd Braun here in Charleston. So I'm interested to know why Neil Brown went for it on 4th down against Virginia Tech and not Pitt. Did the analytics say to do it? Either way, I think Neil has 2 glaring weaknesses. Don't choose your staff based on your friendships. Don't let analytics determine what plays you call.
Well, I think the analytics would be helpful to determine what you do.
Pretty helpful. Probably should have saved that for another game. I don't know if that was the right game to send that in, Lloyd. Things went pretty well.
Texter writes in.
I mean, you have. I think it's a little bit like gambling in that, in certain situations, Brad, this is what you do. Okay, this is what you do. This is what you do. But then sometimes you gamble. Okay, sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to do this. But normally you follow the analytics. Correct?
Well, analytics are a piece of the puzzle. I think people have gotten lazy and just said the analytics say. Well, the analytics do say, but you're also, these coaches, Neil Brown included, is also factoring in what's going on in the situation. What's their defensive line? What's our offense? How do we move the ball? How do they move the ball? There's a million factors that go in. Analytics is a part of that. Okay. It's not, I don't know very many coaches that just only go with analytics and we're not changing that. So I think that's become a lazy narrative to say the analytics say that's why they do. That's a part of that. Just like we talked about that Pitt game. The win percentage told you the better play was to punt it, but it was close. So that was a piece. Mm-hmm. But then you got to factor in the other stuff that came with that. We went through all of those. Each fourth down is created differently because it's not the same opponent. It's not the same down and distance necessarily with the same time. The stadiums are different. The wind is different. There's a million different factors. So,
or how you're doing it, or what the feel is at that moment. Are you able to run the ball?
You can't just pick up, why didn't you go for it on this, but you went for it here. You just, well, you can, but that's not the way to analyze
that. That was kicking into the wind last night, too, and that's one of the things he said as to why he did what he did. Texter, hey, three guys, long-time listener, first time texting in. I'm thankful for our defense showing up against the Hokies. Maybe I missed typo there, but the VPI defense is the best offensive player we have tonight. Offensive line does look to control the line of scrimmage much more on the run game tonight, hoping, praying to hold on for 15 more minutes. Oh, so this was an in-game text. Bring home the Black Diamond, singing country lords, Lord willing. So this is a person just totally stressing out during the course of the game.
Tony, speaking of chokies is not something that I would say. I think it's pejorative, but I did read a story in the Virginia Tech media or in the Virginia media about how that there was a feeling that the Tech team was starting to panic a little bit there in the second half when it started to get away from them, that they were not settled in or confident that they could come back, that they felt it slipping away from them and didn't respond and didn't respond as they could have or they hoped they would have.
Yeah. They had a pregame pep talk from Michael Vick. He talked to the team, yeah. He was there. Texter, hey, three guys, don't understand all the hubbub around the Lane Stadium atmosphere, energy, BS hype. They play a Metallica song real loud, a bad Metallica song, and everybody jumps up and down for 6 minutes. They shoot off some fireworks and streamers and it's over. Lame, double exclamation point. Great W tonight. Let's go Mountaineers. Let's go to Texas. Get Texas. Chad in Rochester.
No, I think it's pretty good atmosphere. I think they do it right.
Yeah, pretty good.
The key is what happens when you kick it off, and do you tamp that down? And West Virginia did that.
I actually thought that was a pretty impressive fireworks display.
They're nice fireworks.
Yeah, they're coming from all over the place.
Yeah, they come in at different
very
angles.
Well done.
They do. They put some money into their fireworks.
Yeah. And some of it's had to do that, Hoppy. Appreciate the good fireworks. That's not easy.
Always a liability risk with that, of course.
Always liability. You got stuff falling down on cars.
On the fire.
Whoops. Didn't know the wind was going that way. Texter.
I never told you, fireworks almost drove me out of the business early.
Reason?
Graduate assistant at UConn. One of my first duties at one of the first football games, they were having fireworks tonight. It was like the opening game. There were like three of us, so everybody had different duties. I somehow, low man on the totem pole, last guy in, I don't know what happened, I had to go to it was like a cemetery, if I'm remembering correctly, where they were launching these fireworks.
Excuse me, where?
I think it might have been a cemetery.
What?
At very best, it was a field. Might have been a cemetery. I don't know. Memory's fuzzy. It was a long time ago.
Interesting venue.
Had to go back there, and I'm with the firework guys.
Okay.
I said, okay, fine. Never been around fireworks. Okay, fine. I'm not shooting them off. I just got to be there with the walkie-talkie. So they cue me when it's actually halftime. I cue the guys, and they let the fireworks go.
Seems like that'd work.
It was fine. Like, okay, that's easy. That's pretty easy. I can handle that. I can see the fireworks. I'm standing next to the guy. Hey, you tell me when it's time to go. I'll tell you when it's go. Don't go until I say it's time to go. Okay, he's got it. We're all good. I started to get a little nervous. Last piece of instructions the guy gave. Fire marshal was up there as well, so felt good. The fire truck wasn't far away in case there was a problem.
Yeah.
The guy giving the instructions goes through everything. All right, here's when it starts. Please stay back. I need you at least 15 feet back from the fireworks. And then, okay, fine. All sounds good. I'm in good shape now. And he says, now the one tricky part, I thought, oh, that's not good. He said, when we go for the grand finale,
big one,
we're going to load them all in at one time, right? Multiple chutes that they come out of. And he said, we'll load all those at one time. And once I drop the last one in and say go, I need us to run as fast as we can in the opposite direction. This is not good, man. So he loads that thing up. I said, all right, go, here we go. I have to go. So he drops it in. Go. We take like I'm sprinting through a field, running away from fireworks. And I thought, I'm not sure I've chosen the right career here. This is not what I signed up for.
I've got a fireworks story, too.
What's yours?
You remember when we did the pig stock thing?
Yes.
So
That was yours.
Yeah, that was mine. And so we did pit stock. So we're going to blow this thing out. Free barbecue meals, whole deal. And we're going to have this big event. So we go to Morgantown for one of the locations. We did them around different places. And so we do it at Milan Park. And so we want to have, we're blowing this thing out. We're going to do fireworks. So I don't even remember who it was, but I get a fireworks guy. And the fireworks guy goes, okay, you have to go to the state fire marshal, and you have to send them a diagram of the land where these are going to go. So I go, okay, so I get that taken care of. Here comes the day of the event.
Yeah.
I get up there, fireworks guy's there. I said, okay, and I walk up there and go, all right, man, so like, here's the thing. Guy goes, yeah. He goes, I looked at that. He goes, nah, I don't want to do it there. He said, he goes, we're going to do them from over here. I went, you can, okay, you can do that? He goes, yeah, don't worry about it. So, dude, check this out. So the event comes. Now it's dark, and it's time for the fireworks. It was the most amazing fireworks I've ever been involved with, because this dude, like, he let these fireworks off, and they were like falling down right around you. It was like you were in a meteor shower. It was the most unsafe thing, but visually cool thing I've ever seen. Like, you're going like, I'm inside of fireworks. And they're going like, and the people are going like, wow. He's just like, nah, don't worry about the fire marshal. We got it.
Jeez. Can I give you a fireworks story?
You got one too?
Yeah. So growing up, I grew up, my father was a farmer, and he was in the Rurtan Club, which was a
great
Rurtan
great organization.
And in Berryville, Virginia, and we had a big county fair. The Clark County Fair was a big deal. And on the last night, the Rurtan Club did fireworks. Well, they just bought fireworks, okay? A bunch of farmers bought fireworks, brought them in big cardboard boxes, put them down, and they're going to set them off. So these guys just start, my dad.
So these did not go through the fire marshal.
No. So they just start setting off fireworks. So, and again, they're just in a big cardboard box. So Wes Park comes down, gets in the box, and all the fireworks start going off. So people start scattering, right? So one guy jumps, and it's a county fair, so there's a wagon there. One guy jumps under a wagon, and the person got on a tractor and drove away. So the guy's laying in the wagon pulled up. And then afterward, my dad was all worried, and people come up going, Harvey, that's the best fireworks display we ever had at the county fair.
I've used this one before. I was an intern at a TV station in Buffalo. It was the 4th of July, and they were blowing fireworks off at Ron Jaworski Stadium in Lackawanna, New York. And they were blowing them off from the infield of a football field around where a track was, and it went off bad.
Oh.
And they were using like a big Ryder truck, U-Haul truck, big box truck, and that thing blowed up.
Oh, really?
It blowed up, and it just went. The entire truck. So that was, it wasn't a good day to be a.
We're going to get now. You wait. Our text next week.
Yeah, all
a lot
fireworks.
Of fireworks stories.
Yeah. We'll do a separate emergency podcast on fireworks.
Texter, 3 guys. I'm texting with West Virginia in its victory formation. Tony, can you give us some perspective on how the atmosphere was compared to at Pitt? It was a tough draw on the schedule to face 2 rivals on the road this year. Great to see the Mountaineers get redemption. Country roads being sung at Lane. The entire O-line were my MVPs. Let's go. So I said going into the game, I think Virginia Tech does the best I've ever seen before. Because of the way the game played out, Pitt was louder during the course of the game.
Yeah, because it was
during the course of the game. Their entrance is still fantastic. But the buzz at Pitt was constant because it was such a great game back and forth.
Real quick, he says the offensive line were the MVPs. Should have made a note earlier on this. The much maligned right tackle position, who's it going to be? Hubbard? Is it going to be Yates? It was Yates. Who's going to play? And you got to get right tackle fixed, and you got to shore up that right sideline. Credit Jaquay Hubbard. Second highest pass blocking grade last night. It was outstanding.
How about that?
84.7 grade according to PFF.
Good for him.
So for what it's worth.
He's a former Virginia Cavalier, so to him, rivalry game.
Rivalry game.
Rivalry game.
But he played well.
Yeah. Checking in from college, our guy, Jumpin' Jack in Mount Vernon, Iowa. Friend of the podcast, certainly, been with us. Scopes, Senator of Spreads, and Hoppy not twiced but thriced. Hello. Great win over the Gobblers last night. I've often heard it said that there was always a West Virginia connection. I've got another example of this statement holding true. I'm going to college in Iowa. Attended a men's soccer match for my school recently. They won the match 4-2. And what did they play after the game? Country roads, of course. Even in the Senators' old stomping grounds of Iowa, there is a West Virginia connection. Thanks. I love the show. Jumpin' Jack, Mount Vernon, Iowa.
How about that?
Jumpin' Jack,
Very
great
good.
to hear from you. Brad and I will respond. He's doing some play-by-play color analyst work there for his college. And we're going to watch.
What now? Say again?
He's the analyst for his college that he's attending. They're doing the soccer games on video, and he got into an analyst role early on as a freshman, which is
Awesome for him.
Yeah.
Get in there and get the experience.
By the way, the football team
awesome,
might
man.
want to get in touch with the soccer team. It's 4 goals in soccer, and
Yeah, a little bit there. All right, here we go.
football team could use some help.
P1 Jason in Dallas.
Oh, I forgot to turn it.
P1 Jason in Dallas. He wrote us a text. He wrote the pregame portion of it, and then he didn't send it, and then he wrote a postgame. So let's do this.
Good job.
Elite.
Pregame, why in the world are people listening to the TV broadcast audio when they can listen to Tony? That's like turning down a date with Miss America to go out with Judi Dench.
No offense, Judi Dench.
All due respect. I think she's a dame, isn't she?
Yes.
Judi Dench is a dame.
Wonderful actress.
Yeah, tremendous. Terrific. Speaking of listening to Tony, you don't have to tell me twice. 6:30 a.m. at the Pancake House. It is in Lubbock. Just to note, I won't be ordering with the intent of eating half later. I had never heard of that concept until the last episode. What a weird idea. Now, post-game. Thanks for having us, VPI. Between Justin Johnson, C.J. Donaldson, Caden Prather, and Jacoby Spells, how good does the future look for West Virginia? Nice to make a little beer money on the game, too. What a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be. Taylor, show it. There's his bet slip.
Ooh, attaboy.
He wagered $550, and he cashed at $957.40.
Brad,
Congratulations. Well done.
nice ticket.
That was the play.
That was the play?
That was the play.
Money line at minus 135, and he put $550 down. He paid himself $957.40. That's good money.
There was
Well done, Jason.
Brad, speak to this because, the goal is to get as many people on one side or the other, but people were in on West Virginia on this game, weren't they?
Yeah, but that's one of the things you could follow the line there because before the Towson game, it was West Virginia's the dog plus 2.5. After that game where West Virginia looked so impressive and Tech did not against an FCA opponent in Wofford, it reopened with West Virginia as the favorite. So what'd that tell you?
Yeah.
The books needed to get some Tech money in there. So people were going to say, wait, we got a home dog and it's Virginia Tech and they've won 2 games. And a lot of people just won't go deeper than that.
Right.
Got some bets on Tech and it came back down. Got up to 3, came back down. And then what happened the day of the game? Limits open up. You can get more down. That number went back another way. So I think the line was telling you that the right side doesn't mean it always wins just because that's what the line's telling you. But that was clear that West Virginia was the side, I thought.
And you were all in on that, and our guy Brad Powers was all in on West
Correct.
Virginia.
Yep.
Texter, the 2-minute drill before half was a thing of beauty from JT in the offense. Got me thinking. In a crucial final drive of a game, what all-time WVU quarterback are you choosing? My pick would be Geno Smith.
That was a good one.
Geno, Will Greer.
Yeah.
Will Greer would get him down the field. Yeah, I think you're probably in pretty good
I
company.
mean, prisoner of the moment, that was a nice drive last night.
Well, that's my guy right there. He said,
I mean, you know what? You give Geno's done it in one of the most improbable. I mean, you walked out of that Marshall Stadium, you had no business winning that. He just lined up, said, "Here we go. We're not losing this.
No,
I'll march you right down and do it."
Yep, I'm with you there. Seth writes in from Florida. 3 guys. It appears that the taste of bile had been washed away by the sweet taste of victory. I have to say that the O-line has been vindicated. Running lanes, clean pocket all night. Being born and raised in Wayne County, I have so much pride in seeing 2 Wayne County natives doing some serious mauling out there. P.S. So glad to see another team have the worst dumb penalties than us. Seth now living in Florida.
Seth is from where? Wayne County. You think he's got a camp still in Wayne?
Probably
yeah.
well,
Land.
He either has land or he's got a family that's got land, and they have a hunting cabin that they go to.
Camp.
Yeah, they got camp, and then they're
going to go up there soon and set up camp.
Probably going to go down there and going to get their guns sighted up here pretty soon. Then they're going to go get the camp ready, and then they go in there for the camp, and then they hunt for a day, and then they drink for 5 days afterward.
Or maybe they don't have the camp and they just go to Cabway-Lingo State Park.
Yeah,
nice job.
Probably where they go.
I just want to get that in there.
Texter. The kicker is still perfect. Kudos to you, Scopes. Once again, I stand corrected. That was the gentleman that jumped on me when I said that the leg was perfect, and then I jinxed him, but I really didn't jinx him because it was Grodhouse that missed. But anyway, we're good with this. This is a good person. Texter from St. Albans, Eric Holt. Hello. Watched the game this evening with a group of friends, all West Virginia grads in Cincinnati. What a great win. Anytime we can beat the Hokies is a great win, but how we beat them makes it a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever we may be. Thought all three phases played good. We were finally able to overcome a couple of mistakes. The Mathis fumble, few penalties. Feels like this could be a true turning point of the season. Let's keep it rolling. Maybe this year we will end up being, pretty good. P.S. Went to Jungle Gyms in Cincy earlier, and I always notice San Marzano tomatoes now and question their authenticity. Just thought I would share. Taylor, could you show what he's talking about there on screen?
You got another picture?
Well, you see, now there's a place that's called Jungle Gyms, and you can see they do sell
they're
cans that are marked San Marzano tomatoes.
Not San Marzano like. That says San Marzano tomatoes.
It's a product of Italy. Giarusa, familiar brand, not the Mercedes brand out there, but okay. I'd rank Cento ahead of them.
Where was this, at Jumpin' Jacks?
In Cincinnati.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Jumpin' Jacks? Gyms?
Jungle Gyms must be a big
But wait a minute. Is that, were those grown in that little small acreage?
No, there's not. That's the difference. There's San Marzano tomatoes.
Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati has an inn?
I don't know.
No. There's San Marzano tomatoes from Italy out there. But what we're talking about is the actual one that uses the volcanic soil near Mount Vesuvius. And as the report said on, the show there, that it's impossible to give people, because there's only 700 hectares of soil there. And so Stanley Tucci's show that pointed that out there. So, yeah, again, folks, we are not going to eat the San Marzano from that dirt. You'd have to go there and literally get it. Now, there's San Marzano. Look, I'm holding one in my hand. That's a San Marzano tomato, but it's not from that soil. Texter, hey, three guys. That was about as much fun as I've had watching this team. Complete game win. Casey Legg deserves some love. Yeah, we gave him. Wow, Jordan Jefferson. Yeah. JT Daniels is a pro. Not only does he lead this offense with precision, listening to him speak is about as impressive of an interview as I've heard. He is a coach on the field and off. Very exciting night indeed. On a separate note, very happy for head coach Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, how about that?
Interim head coach of the Boston Celtics basketball club.
Awesome opportunity for him.
Yeah. It's a great night to be a Mountaineer in my best Scopes voice. Thank you. Sean in Roanoke. Start by saying it's a great day to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be. A couple of questions to Tony. I'm curious to know what good food spot you were able to hit up here in Roanoke, if any. Also, what do you guys think the proper time limit is for me to leave my flying West Virginia flags up on my vehicle while driving around town here in Roanoke?
Until they play again.
Love the show. Always go Mountaineers. Yeah, my meal was fine. Wednesday night, went to 419 was the name of the place, 419. Did a seafood trio, did some extremely high caloric appetizers, had a potato chip thing just loaded with cheese, and it was kind of like a nacho supreme, only using their homemade potato chips. And it was good. It was fine. It was good. Had bad food yesterday.
What now?
What?
Had bad food yesterday.
Why?
What happened?
Wasn't a whole lot near us at the hotel, so I had to do lunch. So I went to Zaxby's. Is that what it is? Zaxby's, Zaxbys.
Was that the bowl that West Virginia played in a
They
few years ago?
I was doing it. Poor man's Chick-fil-A. Poor man's Chick-fil-A. Try.
What'd you get? Chicken sandwich?
Got a chicken Cobb salad, honey mustard dressing, and a side of 5 chicken tenders.
And?
Fried chicken.
Well, it's tavern food. I mean, what do you expect?
Well, here's the deal. The line in drive-through, double line that fed into a one window, not Chick-fil-A like. Chick-fil-A has runways, right? They have runways. You could either bring your car into order or land a relatively small jet.
Yeah.
That's what Chick-fil-A has. These people were trying to they had red cones, just a disaster logistically. And then the service at this place was bad, which it just isn't them. It's everywhere you go now. The service just absolutely sucks. People are like, no movement, no motion, no speed, no quickness. And Chad Scott was in there too, Mountaineer running back coach. I said, Chad, I'm hoping we make it by the kick at 7:39. And then the food was just, bleh.
Do you think the Zaxby's down there in Roanoke has to get in the transfer portal? They got to get new people?
Well, they opened up in August, and they're still trying to figure it out. But
New staff.
I mean, when you take a place
was probably gutted. Didn't have enough players.
they someone hit the portal because there were a lot of people that didn't know
Someone
where they
came
were
in,
going.
took
You can't find people to work. You can't find
I understand that, but why does Chick-fil-A? Why does Chick-fil-A constantly have great people working for them?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. My niece just went to work for Walmart.
Yeah.
Overnight shift. 4 of them showed up for orientation. It started at $16.50 an hour.
Yeah.
So we started $16.50 an hour. 4 of them showed up for orientation. The next night, she was the only one there.
Totally hearing that from everybody. I told him earlier, I had a situation as well with a younger person at the game that, obsessed with their phone, couldn't put the thing down, right? I said, if he and I and you two, if we were 22 years old again, 23 years old, we'd own a company and be CEO by the time we're 27. because the level that's out there right now, you could run circles around him. Boy, do I sound like just
Old guy.
Old
Get off
guy.
my yard.
Old guy. I'm like, come on, man. Get in it. Let's go. See, you know why I'm like that?
Why? Well, because you were raised that way.
My dad went 113 miles per hour. You want to see my dad make a sub and a pizza? I mean, if you weren't Jacoby Spells returning that kick, my dad would come and kick you right in your ass. Like he would look at me if he thought I was.
What would happen if you were moving too slow, which was probably all the time he thought you were moving too slow?
If I was moving too slow and I'm making a sub,
where would he come from?
He'd blindside. He'd come like an edge rusher. Like I'd be over there like cutting a sub roll, like cutting a thing, and I'd get hit, boom, sideways. He'd go 2 arm forward. He'd go 2 arms, boom, bang me out of the way. I'd go sideways, and he'd say, "Get out of here!" And then he'd take the thing over and start cutting that roll and putting it like he was like this, boom, 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 boom. Like when I was washing the floor, if he felt I was going too slow washing the floor, bam, he'd take the thing away, and he'd start going. And then I go into these places now. It's like,
you think that's lacking today?
Like everyone's in like, duh, duh, duh. And you just want to go, what?
I was at a sandwich place in Charleston once, and I would like a sub or something, So all the accoutrements were over here, and she's making the sub here. So it's like this.
Oh, dude.
Was that what led you to stop ordering yourself? You couldn't take it anymore?
She said, Karen, do it.
Was that the last time you ordered a sub?
I will come over there and I will grab that salami myself.
Dude. Seriously, sometimes I still have it in me. Sometimes I do still have it in me that I could go like, I could come back there and I could make stuff. Like, let's go. You want to blow people's minds out? Say the bill is like $13.31. All right. Give them give them $15.25. And you look in their eyes, and there's just like what? And this is nowadays where they can put in how much you gave them to tell you how much change to give them. They can't handle that.
Welcome.
Next
Old
week.
guy time rolls on.
Next week's episode, fireworks and bad customer service. It's coming.
There's
they're
unbelievable opportunity out there for great if you provide great customer service, you'll have a line out of your door. Because you know why? Because there's lines out of doors right now of people that are giving horrific customer service. Man, did this thing go off the rails.
Shock.
First time that may have happened.
I know.
Hey, Scope, Senator, hoppy. Last night's game has, dare I say, lifted my spirits. Just looking at this team, it seems we appear relatively deep in skill, QB, running backs, receivers. Lots of guys getting lots of meaningful touches. Secondary, of course, needs some help. But I don't know if it's wishful thinking or us having Virginia Tech just killing themselves with all their penalties. Thoughts? Sasquatch from Fairmont, not his real first name.
I think one of the things that, Brad, we talk about is you look at these 4 games and you go, well, it's the same team just getting a little bit better. It's not as though all of a sudden you invented these new plays or, so this is the same team that lost to Pitt and Kansas. They played better against Virginia Tech, but you're not as a coaching staff, you're not terrible and fireable one game and the next game a genius. You're doing the same things.
That's why you just keep coming, which the team is doing. You do have to play, and I keep preaching this, especially early in the season, strength of schedule matters, who you're playing matters. West Virginia was by far the better team. This was a great matchup for West Virginia. What they did or couldn't do offensively fit to what your defense did, and the deficiencies the West Virginia defense had, this offense couldn't take advantage of. Same thing on the other side. This was a good matchup. They'll get more difficult moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not to take away from the win because you did what you had to do against a team you were better than. You throttled them. But keep in mind, matchups are so important. We talk about it more in basketball. Matchups matter. Sure. The one coming next is a difficult matchup that we'll get to. Doesn't mean you can't win it. It becomes a much more difficult matchup.
P1 Jennings in the Kanawha Valley checking in. Scopes, spreads, and subs. Very pleased with the win against VPI last night.
Subs.
Defense came to play, took care of business when it had to. West Virginia still needs to clean up the penalties before resuming Big 12 play. Take care of that, and 7 wins still possible. Excuse me while I go high step into the weekend.
Hey, Tony, tell me this on penalties. We talked about this last night where you got 1 or 2 pass interference penalties. And early on, it seemed like they were certainly letting the defenders have a lot of, hand, pushing and shoving, a little bit of holding, that kind of thing. And they were letting them get away with that. But for West Virginia, when the defender when the receiver had beaten the defender, and when you reach out, you don't have your head turned, you reach out and grab, even if the ball is uncatchable, they're going to throw the flag on that. You see a difference there in those things?
Yeah, it's some things there. It's an interesting crew from last night. That was the crew that called that in the Texas-Alabama game, that late hit on the quarterback in the end zone. That was that crew.
Yeah, we're not a fan of that crew, by the way. We see them a lot.
Yeah.
Brad?
Correct, but I will say this. I will save my thoughts on that for a game when it affects you more.
Okay.
Because that was one of those where there are a lot of calls that you went, what? Yeah, but they flagged Tech 15 times.
Yeah, so you can't. Yeah,
right. Yeah, take the win.
Go with it.
Take the win.
I was just curious.
I've got more thoughts, but I will.
I was just curious about those discretionary calls on pass interference. That's all.
I'll tell you what was
You're not wrong to ask.
Surprising. One replay review the whole night. That was surprising. I remember late on the targeting.
It was on the targeting, right?
On the targeting, yeah.
And it was the right call, and they made it pretty quickly. I mean, it was the right call.
Texter, fellas, dang, it's a good day. H3, that's you. Hoppy Theory, hoppy. Go ahead, have 3 hot tamales today. It's that kind of a day. Anyway, I hope all of the Mountaineer Nation enjoys the weekend watching football, knowing the Black Diamond Trophy is safe and sound in Morgantown, signed by the Greenbrier Ghost. Texter, Hey, three guys, Josh in the Twin Cities. What a difference a week can make. In less than 7 days, the team has gone from 0-2 to 2-2 with a road win against a historical rival. What stat do you look at in the box score that jumps out to you from this matchup? For me, it's the 4.7 yards per rush against VT's 1.9. Yeah, it's huge, as we talked about, the running ability.
Plus, what else stands out is first downs 32 versus 14.
That was me. I mean, the first downs and then the scoring opportunities there, you just, again, absolutely dominated that team.
Texter, hey, three guys, Joe in Charleston, South Carolina. Great, great city. Charleston's terrific. Great food, great beverages, great podcast, he says. Again, you guys do a wonderful job of being level-headed with everything which we don't hear enough of now. Congratulations to Mary Roush. She's the Mountaineer. She got a shout-out tweet from ESPN's Holly Rowe when they showed her running onto the field with the team. I met Mary this summer at a soccer game, and she couldn't have been nicer to talk to. I don't have much of a tie to West Virginia, but she made me a fan.
There you go.
And Mary's a great girl. Terrific. Texter, three guys, thankful that I could do something to bring good fortune to Mountaineer Nation. On Wednesday, I worked in Summersville. As I crossed Powell Mountain under the beautiful blue West Virginia sky, I made a point of looking for the goat. Fortunately, I was able to spot the memorial and gazed upon it. It's good luck-inducing glory while traveling south, and on my return trip north, you're welcome. Great dominating win by the Mountaineers last night. Exciting, continue to see so much potential from this team. Let's go. So for those that don't know the story, there was a mountain goat that lived on Powell Mountain when you were coming from Summersville, and there was a strong, strong belief by many that if you saw the Powell Mountain goat on game day when you were driving to the stadium, that West Virginia would win the game and cover. Unfortunately,
and cover.
And cover.
That was probably a big part of the story there, Hop.
Unfortunately, to our knowledge, the Powell Mountain goat is no longer with us, but there has been a memorial erected on Powell Mountain. Said Texter saw the memorial, and that inspired the luck that West Virginia not only won, but in fact they did cover.
Clearly worked.
I mean, you have those kinds of stories, and they're like, oh, to win the game and lose the game, but to have it also cover.
It's something of the times.
So if you didn't see the goat, you could still win the game.
No, they'd lose most of the time.
Kind of went together.
Yeah, they were together.
Kind of correlated.
I just tell you this.
Goat, win, cover.
They came up the road and they said, didn't see the goat. You know, it's probably not going to be a good day. Charlie and Beckley writing in.
How'd the goat know, Kirchhoff?
I don't know.
How'd it know?
How do it know? Keeps hot things hot, cold things cold. But how do it know?
Let's jump up here. David in Harper's Ferry, working in Northern Virginia. I've got a bit more pep in my step walking into work today. I'm surrounded by Virginia Tech graduates and fans. I'll enjoy this one a little longer. Keep the momentum going. Let's go, Mountaineers. Scopes, spreads, and Hoppy to the third power. Texter, with only 397 episodes until the much ballyhooed 800th episode, the cover of Donnie R's Love is Like a Rock has never sounded sweeter. As a native Southern West Virginian, it's extra special when the world champion Mountaineers can lay the smackdown on the boys from Blacksburg. It's doubly nice when you know they aren't scheduled to meet again anytime soon, and the vaunted Black Diamond Trophy will be nestled safely inside the Pushkar Center where it belongs. A balanced attack on offense, leverage on the O-line, solid effort on defense may just parlay this team into some nice results as we head down the back end of the schedule. Keep it rolling, and as Tony says on Twitter, that was fun. Charlie and Beckley. Texter, Scopes, Spreads, and H3. Hello! VPI had 15 penalties for 132. They legitimately should have had 200. It feels great to dominate, and there's a ton of positives to take away. But the Hokies will be the worst team in the Big 12 this year. I don't think we can settle for 4 field goals in Big 12 play and win many games. How can we get better finishing drives? Was some of our play calling ultra-conservative, knowing that VPI was completely ineffective on offense? Thanks, Matt, in Tulsa via Weirton.
It'll be okay. That wasn't a trend. That was a game. You've been finishing drives pretty well. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Justin in West Milford via Greenbrier County. Scopes, spreads, hop. Happy to win that one, but I was hoping to see more pressure from the D-line. Only 3 TFLs, actually it was 5, and 1 sack. Was it a function of the quick passing game, or are we really not getting home as often? In closing, the Black Diamond Trophy is ours for the foreseeable future. I say we delay scheduling for at least 15 years so we can hold on to it longer than they did. Justin and West Milford via Greenbrier County. I think they got the ball out quick last night.
Yeah. Got the ball out quick, and also West Virginia was trying to do a lot with 3 guys, right?
Yeah. Light box. A lot of 5 in there. Texter Andrew in Little Rock via Parkersburg. Little Rock. Hello! Scopes, spread, and HHH. Okay. So, great game with our toes to spare. Turns out VPI is still an institute, but I have some considerations for textual healing if we have any hope of surviving Big 12 play. Number 1. Back to wide receiver screens to open the game. 1, okay, I see. Back-to-back is a head-scratcher for me. How many snaps did CJ play? Too many based off what we have been hearing over and over about his conditioning, and it showed in the second half. A little disappointed we coasted across the finish line considering the start of the season. Putting the hammer down on an out-of-conference rival that's not any future schedules is the kind of mojo West Virginia fans are yearning for.
You know, they drove down the field. Maybe they could have scored there near the end. They took a knee, go home. You know, you had dominated them. There was nothing to be added by trying to score another touchdown.
Also, Andrew continues, I have a hypothesis why Hoppy continually struggles with random interactions out in public. He's simply out of his element, not in an interview setting. Perhaps if he approached random interactions with the general public as an interview, he would feel more relaxed and in control. Next time, placing an order at Subway, just interview him. Go to the bottom of it. It may be odd for them at first, but your trusted voice of reasons. You'll leave them feeling honored to have been interviewed by the best and most trusted journalist in North America. So that's an idea there. That's a good point. Like,
so how's your turkey today?
Yeah, exactly. Very good. So, hey, the lettuce looking green. You like green lettuce? What's green lettuce make you feel like? How about those tomatoes?
What would you recommend?
Yeah, see?
What's your special today?
But you got to do it like you do it on Talkline. Like, be more like Tommy gun them. Like, you like lettuce? Lettuce is good. Tomatoes good. Tomatoes fresh. You cut the tomatoes yourself. Is it anecdotal or scientific? And then right like where you're doing like 3 questions in, you go, we're talking with a Subway employee.
Then the Subway person goes,
Also hit him.
And then tell the Subway employee just all of a sudden in between questions, go, texter says, and look at your phone, pull one of those up.
And then give him one of these, Hoppy, like, give him one. You got to give him one of these.
How about if I give him one after they finish, I'll go, we'll be back right after this for a cookie.
Anecdotal or scientific, the wheat is the best roll. Yeah, I think there's some really good information right there. Okay, we're down.
That's a good suggestion.
Down to our final few here. From Sean, it says Athene. I'm assuming it was a typo, and he's from Athens. Yeah, from Athens. Scopes, Dean, Senator, maybe it is the fact that I live in the southern part of the state and hate VPI more than any other talking, but I say enough with the fire the Neil Brown stuff. The man has beaten those turkeys 2 years in a row, kept the Black Diamond at home. I'm in favor of giving the man whatever he wants, including a statue. Let's go Mountaineers. Seth in Williamstown, T-bones, spreads, and triple hops. Run game looked great. I think Donaldson is our go-to guy officially now. JT is JT. Prather and O'Loughlin really stepped up. We played hard when it mattered late in the game to seal it, which we didn't do against Pitt or Kansas, so points for that. And the negatives. We're lucky that Virginia Tech was flagged twice as much as we were. That issue still lingers in big games. We won't get away with that against more disciplined teams. We lucked out with the muffed punt. We have the potential to be a really good team, but we have to play like a really good team.
Brad, you had a good point last night on that muff punt, just that sometimes you got to get a little lucky.
Sometimes you need bounces. And West Virginia's been unlucky on bounces,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to fumbles. They were due a break there.
Yeah. So that's just the math.
Texter, can't say enough about the way Jacoby Spells played. After he got beat early, he bounced back in a major way and graded out as the second best defensive player for WVU. Also, Lee Koba played by far his best game. He was all over the field, made a big play on 3rd and 1 right before we stuffed him on 4th. The O-line was terrific. One last thought. Gino said, they wrote me off, but I didn't write them back. Could that be what Neil Brown is saying come November? I think this team is talented enough to make a run these last 8. Texter, last night was the first time I tried muting ESPN and syncing up the Hall of Fame radio call through a soundbar. It was glorious. I'll never watch a game another way. Thanks for all you do. A fan from Kaiser. Yeah, I mean, we're radio people here, and radio is still undisputed, man. When it comes to radio, when it comes to a game, is bringing you the broadcast. Television has changed dramatically in its presentation of the game. They are trying to serve a bunch of different audiences. They're trying to keep you there. They're promoting. They're bringing things. If you just want a game, then radio is always going to be the game. Right? Radio is the meat and potatoes of the food world. It's the standard. Texter. Logan in Pittsburgh, Kansas. That's a Pittsburgh without the H. Hardy County, West Virginia native. Not the prettiest win. The team needs a light switch moment like the era of Pat White's crew had the Louisville game 2005. It's going to happen. I don't know when that came in. Looking forward to hearing your thought on the performance. Was that? I don't know. What was that? Was that old text from Towson? I don't know. Not sure.
Don't know.
So this normally is our Monday show because we do the recap on Monday of a Saturday game. But we didn't want you to wait, so we did it today. But we're still going to come back on Monday.
We doing Texas, like 2 Texas shows?
Yeah, I think we'll do a weekend recap
We'll
of
have some
what
Big
goes
12 to talk about. There's some
Yeah.
intriguing
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
12 games, including Texas's game at Texas Tech, Kansas and Duke's a non-conference game, Iowa State, Baylor. I think there's some games that we can learn. You know, you continue to put the data points in there, and you start to learn a little bit more about each of these teams, which I think we do that.
What do you got on Kansas Duke?
Sold out Kansas Stadium for the second time in 13 years.
Incredible.
You serious, dude?
Yeah.
I didn't know it would sell out.
Yep.
They sold it out.
Yep.
How about
It'll be
that?
bonkers. That worked out perfect for them. They got 2 big road wins, and instead of a potential letdown spot, they're returning home to that crowd.
Yep.
Kansas might win again.
I hope they do win. I hope they do win.
Yeah, against a non-conference opponent, sure.
Also on Monday, just when we came down into the studio, they finally released the WVU basketball schedule and Big 12 conference play. And I'm literally looking at it for the very first time. And one of the things that stands out is that West Virginia will start league play with one of those 2-game road trips. And once again, not all that long ago we did this, we're going to spend New Year's Eve in Manhattan, Kansas. Actually, you're probably going to spend it in Stillwater. You play Kansas State on New Year's Eve, and then you play Oklahoma State on January 2. So the Best Western in Stillwater for New Year's Eve. That is something I never thought I'd say. And they give you another 2-game trip, February 11, 13, in Austin and then at Baylor. So that West Virginia is going to play in the brand new arena at Texas. They're opening it this year, Feb 11, Saturday. And, they give you 3. There's 3 2-game road trips. That's unprecedented, I think. At Kansas on a Saturday and then at Iowa State on a Monday at the end of the regular season. So we'll get into all of that as well. Men's basketball practice begins on Monday. How about that?
It's incredible.
So you got what you were looking for there. If you're a Mountaineer fan, you got a Thursday night win. Now you can sit back this weekend and be totally chill and just watch ball. That's fun to do.
Yeah, that'll be a fun weekend.
Senator, he asked you about Kansas Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another play in your mind this week that you love on the college side, no matter what league, anywhere?
I've got a bunch of them out there. I don't know that one I would put above any of the others.
All right.
Oh.
Cool. Special thanks to our producer, Taylor County Full-Time Kennedy. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems. Trust me, if you're in a business, own a business, and you've got IT issues, call them up. They'll come in for free and let you know how they can help you.
Move.
Comax. Excuse me? What?
That's the IT guy. Move.
Yeah, move. Don't deal. Don't be held hostage by IT people that are mean and nasty because they never had any friends in middle school. Comex people are smiley. They're like Chick-fil-A people. They'll take care of you. Visit them at comaxwv.com. Three Guys also brought to us by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them. Winfield is their location, or on the web at burdettcamping.com. BURDETTE camping.com. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Thank you so very much for making Three Guys the #1 sports podcast in the state of West Virginia, and it continues to grow in our numbers. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to see y'all. So long. Into the kitchen I go this weekend.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have like 2 days of cooking, right?
Heavy. Yeah, just going to go heavy. Just going to cook a lot of stuff. Got a grinder for my birthday. Meat grinder. You hook onto your KitchenAid thing. So I'm just going to buy like meat and just grind meat.
You used it before?
No, I'm going to use it this weekend. Also bought a pasta. I got another attachment for my KitchenAid, a pasta extruder.
You're going to need a
You make pasta.
like an
You used that
outbuilding
before?
for you.
I tried it last Sunday, turned into an absolute abomination. Used the wrong dough, and it just stuck, and it was horrific. Found a great deal this week. I found the right dough, and I'm making it this week. I'm so fired up. I'm going to eat 6 pounds of pasta noodles. I'll let you know how it goes. We be out. See y'all.